This public hearing for the administrative transfer of Overlook Park, located at 72-100 McBride Avenue Extension, Block 4601, Lots 1.01, 1.02, and Lot 2 in the Great Falls Historic District is now open. The time is 7:15 p.m. on September 15th, 2021. Welcome to this public hearing. Thank you for joining us. My name is Gianfranco Archimede, and I will be your presenter and moderator. I'm a City of Paterson employee for the past 15 years. My title is Director of the Division of Historic Preservation under the Department of Economic Development, and I am also the Executive Director of the Paterson Historic Preservation Commission and the city's liaison to the Great Falls National Historic Park projects. I hold a Master's of Science degree in Industrial Archaeology and have extensive professional experience in history, archaeology, architecture, historic preservation, and cultural resource management practices. I'd like to begin by reviewing the format for this public hearing. Please follow along on the slide. We have opened this public hearing, and I would like to orient you to this location in case you have not been in this room previously. Right outside the entrance door are two elevators. Please do not attempt to use these in case of an emergency if we are asked to leave the building. Instead, exit the room and turn right, walk to the end of the hallway, and look to your right for the stairway down to the third floor. Use the rest of the central stairs to return to the lobby and then exit the building from either the front or rear entrances. If you are looking for the restrooms, please quietly leave the room, close the door behind you, turn right and look for the same stairway. Ladies will not need to go downstairs. The restroom is located directly in front of you at the end of the hallway to the left of the stairway. Gentlemen will need to go downstairs to the third floor, turn left at the bottom of the stairs, and turn left again into the first hallway where there is a step up, and the restroom is in front of you. For anyone with accessibility concerns, please take the elevator to the second floor. Turn left upon exit and cross the lobby toward the hallway. An accessible restroom is the first immediate left within the hallway. Go through the left-hand door, not the right-hand door. If you experience a health emergency or feel suddenly sick during this public hearing, please do not hesitate to interrupt to announce that you need help, and we will get you help. Finally, please observe the city's mandatory COVID-19 social distancing protocols by keeping one or more chairs in between each of you, and please always wear your mask. The second portion of the hearing will be a detailed presentation that I will present that will last between 45 minutes and an hour, possibly 30 to 45 minutes. Following the presentation, there will be a question and answer portion. I will do my best to answer all questions with present knowledge, but if there are topics or items I cannot answer, I'll make note of getting back to you with the response. I will need your name and contact information to do so. I request that you please save all your questions for this portion of the hearing. Please do not interrupt the presentation or other participants in this hearing. You will have the opportunity to have the floor and your questions will be clearly stated on the record. Following the question and answer portion, we will turn to public remarks and comments. I will explain the format when we get to this point of the hearing. Following public remarks, I will review the public comment process as a recap for additional questions or comments that you may want to submit after this hearing is over. Finally, we will conclude the hearing with a closing statement. There is no set time that we need to follow to get through these portions. It will be dependent on how much input is presented following the presentation. Please note that all parts of this hearing are being recorded by a certified stenographer, Ms. Amalinda Lopez, who is here with us, to create a legal verbatim transcript. The transcript will become a public record and will be provided to the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the Paterson City Council, and Administration. The hearing is not televised live, but will be recorded and posted to the City of Paterson YouTube channel and to the city's website. Anyone can request a copy of the transcript of this hearing after it is finalized by the stenographer. Now I would like to begin the presentation with a list of topics that I will cover. Please follow along on the slide, which I will read from for the record. Number 1, public notice and public comment period. Number 2, purpose of this public hearing. Number 3, location of the parklands and upfront summary. Number 4, Overlook Park establishment and Green Acres funding. Number 5, the Great Falls Hydroelectric Project background. Number 6, establishment of the Great Falls State Park. Number 7, establishment of the Great Falls National Historical Park. Number 8, general agreement of 2011 between Patterson and the National Park Service. Number 9, land transfer details and visual tour of the parklands. Number 10, management and use of Overlook Park following transfer. Number 11, current status of transfer process and next steps. And number 12, review of public comment period and how to comment. The first topic is public notice. This public hearing was advertised in accordance with the requirements of NJAC 7:36-25.5, Section A, Number 3, with legal advertisements in the City of Patterson's official newspapers, the Bergen Record and the Herald News on August 13th, 2021, followed by a display advertisement published in both newspapers on August 25th, 2021. In addition, public notice was also posted to the Office of the City Clerk and to the City of Patterson website front page on August 13th, 2021, as well as posting of a large sign at the entrance of Overlook Park. Here is the public notice that was posted at the Office of the City Clerk, which is the same language as it was published in the newspapers. As you can see on the slide, the bottom paragraph of the page is highlighted for special attention. That portion should have some special attention, so I will read it now. Quote, written comments on the parkland transfer requests may be directed to Director Michael Powell at the Department of Economic Development, hpcinfo@pattersonnj.gov, 125 Ellison Street, 4th floor, Patterson, New Jersey 07505. Phone 973-321-1220. Please send a copy of any comments submitted on this request to Adam Page Taylor, adam.taylor@dep.nj.gov, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Green Acres Program, Bureau of Legal Services and Stewardship, Post Office Box 420, Trenton, New Jersey 08625-0420. Public comment on this parkland transfer request will be accepted during the public hearing or until September 30, 2021. On or after October 1st, 2021, the City of Patterson may take formal action to approve the proposed transfer of parkland, subject to approval of the transfer documents by the Green Acres Program. End quote. Also, please note that as stated in the notice, quote, all information submitted by the City of Patterson to the Green Acres Program in support of this requested parkland transfer is available for public inspection at Patterson City Hall, City Clerk's Office, 3rd floor, 155 Market Street, Patterson, New Jersey. End quote. The next topic is about the purpose of this public hearing, which is to provide information about the City of Patterson's proposed donation of Overlook Park to the National Park Service, United States of America, and to satisfy requirements under the New Jersey state law to provide everyone an opportunity to ask questions and to give their thoughts and suggestions before the Patterson City Council and the state of New Jersey take formal action on the transfer proposal. The next topic is the location of Overlook Park. The image you see on the slide is an aerial overview of the Great Falls area. Some features you may be familiar with are Hinchliffe Stadium on the upper right, the Great Falls at the center, and Mary Ellen Kramer Park between the stadium and the falls. The Spruce Street Bridge is at left center, and at lower center is the Great Falls Hydroelectric Plant. The Overlook Park parking lot, new amphitheater, and the NPS headquarters building are at the lower right. The lands subject to transfer include Overlook Park and a small area of land above the hydroelectric plant leading to the footbridge over the Great Falls Chasm. We will look at the lands more closely later in the presentation. Next, we continue with the upfront summary of the land transfer proposal. We will get into further detail on several of these topics later. Please follow along with the slides on screen as I go through the summary. Overlook Park was first established in 1964 and was improved between 1970 and 1972 on lands owned by the City of Paterson, hereafter called the City. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Green Acres program provided funding to the city for the initial layout and improvements to create Overlook Park. Conditions of accepting Green Acres funding are that the parklands must be preserved and always be used as parklands and may only be transferred to another government entity that will continue to only use it as parklands. The Paterson Great Falls State Park was authorized in 2004 under the McGreevey administration. A master plan for the design of the state park was completed in 2008, but not implemented before the Paterson Great Falls National Historical Park was authorized in 2009 under the Obama administration. The city and the National Park Service, herein referred to as the NPS, negotiated and executed a general agreement in 2011 regarding their cooperation and commitments to set up and manage the national park and the surrounding historic district. The 2011 agreement also laid out specific lands that the city would donate, that means to transfer without payment, to the NPS, including Overlook Park and Mary Ellen Kramer Park. The 2011 agreement also established that other city-owned parklands would be included within the boundaries of the national park, but would not be donated. These include the hydroelectric plant. Overlook Park was further improved and environmentally remediated between 2017 and 2018 in preparation for the transfer. Green Acres funding was used for these improvements. More than 2 years of ongoing negotiation and preparations between the city and NPS were needed to prepare the transfer documents to be ready for executing the transfer. The drafted documents are done and will soon be transmitted to the City Council for their review. A part of the preparation is to comply with New Jersey state laws within the Green Acres program that outline the process for, quote, administrative transfer, unquote, of parklands from one government to another for the continuing use as public parklands. This hearing is part of those requirements. The city will continue to own and operate the hydroelectric plant after the land transfer. To separate the hydroelectric plant from the rest of Overlook Park, a subdivision was needed and has been completed. The city will retain ownership of certain public monuments, plaques, and the statue of Alexander Hamilton that are in Overlook Park today. Following the public comment period, a record of all comments and documentation will be forwarded to the Green Acres program and to the Paterson City Council for review and consideration. This will be during October 2021. The Council will also be presented with an ordinance to approve the transfer of Overlook Park by donation, and a second public hearing will be held by the Council just before their final vote on the ordinance sometime in November 2021. If approved, the city will no longer have jurisdiction over Overlook Park and will be managed entirely by the NPS in perpetuity, meaning forever. Our next topic is to tell more about the background of Overlook Park. The park was first established as Overlook Park in 1964 and later rededicated in 1975 to Patterson publisher Larry B. Haynes in memorial, and is still known today primarily as Overlook Park. On screen is a photo circa 1950s with several notable features indicated. The Great Falls is at the center, with the hydroelectric plant just off-center left from the falls. Hinchliffe Stadium is in the upper right-hand corner, and the Spruce Street Bridge is in the upper left-hand corner. Just below center is a large building with a very tall smokestack. This building was a coal-burning steam generation plant built at the same time as the hydroelectric plant in 1914. To the left of the huge building is a smaller building that still exists today. The aerial photograph on screen was taken in 1973, shortly following the completion of Overlook Park. As you can see, the steam plant was demolished a few years after it ceased operating in about 1957. The concrete foundations of the steam plant were left intact and are still visible today, especially at the lower level of Overlook Park. The rest of the foundation was filled in and brought to level grade for capping with asphalt for parking. The surface parking lot was replaced only once since this time until the overall improvement project of 2017, when it was replaced again. The next topic pertains to the hydroelectric plant, initially constructed by the Society for Establishment of Useful Manufactures in 1914 through 1915, at the same time as the steam generating plant was constructed. It consists of 4 large penstocks that intake river water just upstream of the Great Falls and drops the water rapidly through turbines that turn generators to create electricity. Eventually, the plant was modernized with new turbines that still generate power today. The city has a lease agreement with Eagle Creek Renewable Energy to create power at this site and sell it back to PSEG for distribution to the grid. Patterson receives annual rent and has a profit-sharing arrangement with Eagle Creek. One of the historic turbines was left in place for public demonstration and tours. The NPS has no interest in operating a hydroelectric facility, and so it's remaining as the property of the city in perpetuity and will not be transferred with the Overlook Park lands. Our next topic is about the Great Falls State Park, which was established in 2004 during the McGreevey administration as one of 2 new urban parks added to New Jersey's state park system in over 80 years at that time. In 2006 and 2007, the state funded and undertook a design competition for a master plan for the new park and awarded Field Operations, the designers of the world-renowned Highline Park in Chelsea, New York City, the Patterson project. The master plan for this park was completed in 2008, but was not implemented right away. Close on the heels of this new park designation, and after 4 decades of discussions about the topic, the Great Falls National Historical Park was authorized by Congress in 2009, and the legislation signed on April 30th by President Obama. Passing the legislation was not a simple matter and took much skilled maneuvering by our congressional leaders like Bill Pascrell and Frank Lautenberg to get it passed. This was just the beginning of a multi-year process to get the park established. After about 18 months of negotiations with the city and other public agency holding lands in the park boundary, the nation's 397th national park was established on November 7, 2011. Hinchliffe Stadium was added to the park boundary in 2015, making it now the only national park in the nation with a historic sports arena where the story of segregation in Negro League Baseball will be interpreted by the NPS. This map shows the boundaries of the larger Great Falls Historic District in red and the boundaries established by Congress of the Great Falls National Historical Park, shown in green with green shading. As you can see, the national park is a smaller subset within the larger historic district. This map figure is from the 2011 General Agreement, showing in shaded green the land areas agreed to be donated by the city to the NPS. As you can see, the lands all surround the core area and main feature of the park, which is the Great Falls. These consist of Mary Ellen Kramer Park on the north side of the Great Falls, Overlook Park on the south side of the Great Falls, and the small parcel across the street from Overlook Park known as the Great Falls Welcome Center. The rest of the lands in the boundaries of the national park will remain as city property. Here is another overview satellite map for more clarity showing the same lands to be transferred. This slide shows an aerial overview map delineating the various Great Falls National Park project boundaries, some of which are completed and others that are still in planning. The red outlines are showing discrete project areas that are being developed sort of one at a time, sometimes simultaneously, but mostly one at a time over a period of time. For example, to date, Mary Ellen Kramer Park and Overlook Park both have received improvements, and a third park, which is adjacent to Overlook Park, which is seen on this map just to the north along the river, called the Quarry Lawn Park, is about to start construction. We'll learn more about that now. You can also see Hinchliffe Stadium, and adjacent to Hinchliffe Stadium, the Patterson Vista State Park. In 2017 and 2018, Overlook Park was improved for the first time since the initial establishment construction in the early 1970s. This plan shows the improvements that were made. Many of them are new to the design of the park. These include a stone seating amphitheater, an observation plaza, and walking path across the main viewing axis of the Great Falls. Improvements to the steam plant foundation were made in 2011 and again during this project, and the parking lot was also replaced. The design was developed cooperatively between the NPS, the city, and Passaic County. Funding for improvements were in the form of matching grants from the NPS, Passaic County, and from Green Acres, together with funding from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority for environmental remediation and bonded funds from the city. Here is an overview plan of the Quarry Lawn Park that will be beginning construction in the next couple of months. The Quarry Lawn Park is adjacent to Overlook Park, but the project will start in Overlook Park to create a river walk starting at the hydroelectric plant at the lower plaza of Overlook Park, which will lead visitors into the central passageway that you see on screen through the Quarry Lawn Park. On the right side of the central passageway is a Great Lawn feature, and on the left side are stabilized ruins from previous dye houses with access to viewing the Passaic River. The final plans were just received for Quarry Lawn, and the bidding process will soon begin. Quarry Lawn is funded by grants from the NPS, Green Acres, and the County of Passaic. Some city funding will also be needed. This park will not be transferred to the NPS. It will remain the city's property. A rendering of the final Quarry Lawn Park looking west is on screen now. Note the central passageway and the Great Lawn on the left side of this image, the stabilized ruin walls, and the river's edge on the right side. This is another rendering of the final Quarry Lawn Park looking east. This is how you will see the park when you enter on foot from Overlook Park. Note the central passageway and the seating wall that runs along the Great Lawn. Behind the seating wall are planted rain gardens, and to the left of the central passageway is seating with shade trees. The image on screen is the Quarry Lawn project area looking east as it looks today. So comparing this to the renderings that were just shown, you can see there's going to be a very dramatic transformation of this post-industrial landscape. On screen is a rendering of another project that will take place following land transfer in Overlook Park. This project will be executed by the National Park Service and is largely funded by donations through the National Parks official partner organization, the Hamilton Partnership. This project is called the Alexander Hamilton Visitor Center, and on screen is a rendering of the Visitor Center where it will be located in the current parking lot of Overlook Park. The building will be integrated with the existing historic steam plant foundations and will have underground spaces. And as you can see on the rendering, uh, you'll be able to enter at the upper level and then go through the building and then exit the building at the lower level, opening up to a grand view of the Great Falls. You can see to the bottom right of this rendering is the amphitheater we saw in the previous rendering. Here on screen is another rendering of the Alexander Hamilton Visitor Center as seen from the primary approach from McBride Avenue Extension. This is the same aerial overview slide that I showed earlier to refresh you on the layout of the lands of Overlook Park. Just to create the picture again in your mind's eye for the next slide. From a survey mapping perspective, this is what the original two parcels forming Overlook Park look like. Lot 2 is shaded in orange and Lot 1 is shaded in green. Here are the redrawn parcel boundaries following the subdivision of the two larger lots into 4 constituent lots. Lot 2 is the largest, shaded in orange. Lot 1, which the city will retain ownership of, where the hydroelectric plant is located, is shaded in green. And lots 1.01 and 1.02 are shaded in pink and purple, which will also be transferred to the NPS along with Lot 2. The next series of slides are a photo tour of the Overlook Park lands to identify the lot names and their boundaries. This first image is showing an overview of Lot 2 looking east, consisting of the steam plant foundations, parking lot, amphitheater, the office building, and the lower plaza. The image on screen shows all of Lot 2 looking east from the top of the stairway. The image on screen is showing the pedestrian connection through Lot 1 between lots 1.01 and Lot 2. So the perspective of this photo is the same location as the previous one, just turning around and looking in the opposite direction. At the upper left corner of this image, you'll see vehicles crossing the Spruce Street Bridge. The area in front, on the walkway in front with the railings, is actually lot 1, and then crossing over into lot 1.01. This can be more clearly seen in the next couple of slides. The red dashed line in the image on screen shows the delineation between the hydroelectric lot 1 and the Overlook Park lot 1.01. You can see that in this next slide on screen, another perspective showing how the subdivision line runs along the walking path. The lot 1.01 in its entirety is visible here on the left side of the screen, and lot 1 is on the right side of the red dashed line. In this image, we get closer to the footbridge over the forebay of the hydroelectric plant. The Passaic River is directly to the left off screen, and the border boundary, common boundary with the hydroelectric plant lot 1 is to the right of the dashed line. This image on screen shows the footbridge that will span lots 1.01 and lot lots 1.02. This image on screen shows a side view of the footbridge that spans lots 1.01 and lot 1.02. The bridge is also being transferred to the MPS because it spans the two lots and will provide them full control and access to both of these lots once they're transferred. The image on screen shows the far end of lot 1.02 on the right center, where the footbridge crossing the chasm begins, which marks the end of lot 1.02. It's not fully visible in the image. It's behind the trees and the bushes that are basically at the center of the image, where the lot ends and the chasm bridge begins. The image on screen shows the upper elevation portion of Lot 1 and the gatehouse to the hydroelectric plant. This dirt lot in the foreground is also part of Lot 1. This is another view of the gatehouse showing the dirt lot, which is also part of Lot 1. And another view of the boundary of Lot 1 and how it relates to Spruce Street. This is the same pedestrian walking path that you've seen in several images prior to this. The image on screen is the next series of images on screen show the various plaques and monuments that will be retained in ownership by the City of Paterson, but will remain in situ at Overlook Park. The first plaque on screen shows the Ruth Hirschberger Rose Garden dedication plaque, 1996. The image on screen shows the Overlook Park dedication plaque from 1964. The image on screen shows the Harry B. Haynes Memorial Park dedication plaque. And the image on screen shows the statue of Alexander Hamilton, commissioned by the City of Paterson in 1903 and completed in 1904. This topic restates the land transfer details. The subdivision of Overlook Park sets aside Lot 1 for continued ownership by the city for continued operations of the hydroelectric plant. The rest of Overlook Park lands, Lot 1.01, 1.02, and 2, a total area of 3.06 acres, will be transferred to the NPS by donation. The transfer documents contain a series of easements that allow the city and the NPS to cooperate in all future access, maintenance, and management of their respective lands. The monuments, plaques, and statue of Alexander Hamilton will remain in place at Overlook Park, but will remain the property of the city. The transfer is made final by the City Council's passage of an ordinance to do so, followed by the mayor's signature. The Great Falls Welcome Center property was already transferred to the NPS by the city in 2014. Within the next few years, the city will next transfer Mary Ellen Kramer Park to the NPS after Overlook Park, and that will be the end of transfers agreed upon until under the 2011 agreement. The next topic concerns the management of Overlook Park following the transfer. Please follow along on screen. Once again, the monuments, plaques, and statue of Alexander Hamilton will remain in place at Overlook Park, but will remain the property of the city. The city will maintain these objects. The city must retain certain environmental annual reporting responsibilities required by state law on all the transferred lands, as these cannot be transferred to the NPS. These responsibilities cannot be transferred to the NPS. There will be nominal costs paid by the city for hiring specialized consultants to submit and certify the reports to the state. Both the city and the MPS must manage and use the lands in accordance with laws protecting natural and cultural resources and must always provide public access to them. Each party will be responsible for their own day-to-day maintenance and operations unless otherwise agreed upon. The city will continue to provide law enforcement and emergency response to the MPS lands. According to the agreement, the parties can jointly invest funding into projects within the Great Falls National Park and the Great Falls Historic District boundaries for historic preservation and park improvements and maintenance purposes. This topic will recap the current status of the transfer process and next steps. All necessary filings for relevant state agency reviews have been filed, including State Historic Preservation Office and Green Acres. The transfer documents are 95% completed and will be transmitted to the City Council in October 2021 with the transcript of this hearing and other comments received. An ordinance to transfer the property will be prepared and offered to the Council for review and formal action in late October for the first reading of the ordinance. The ordinance will be scheduled for a second reading in November. The second reading requires a public hearing at the meeting when it will be voted on. This is another opportunity to make public comments prior to voting. The final topic in this presentation is a review of the public comment period and how to comment after this hearing is over. Questions and comments will be taken at this public hearing. Following this public hearing, there is a period of 2 weeks to submit comments in writing. Written comments can be sent via email or by regular mail. Green Acres also requests that a copy of any comments be sent to their attention, as well as to the city's. Comments must be received not later than September 30th. Please email questions and comments to hpcinfo@pattersonnj.gov and to adam.taylor@nj.dep.gov. Mailing addresses can be found in the public hearing notice, which is distributed at this meeting. Here is the same public notice that we looked at the beginning, and that was provided tonight, that has the various addresses for written comments to be submitted. Thank you for your attention. This concludes the presentation portion of this public hearing. The slide on screen now shows the same previous slide regarding the public hearing format. We have now concluded the presentation portion and will move on to the question and answer portion of the public hearing. The question and answer portion is now open. Seeing that no members of the public are here to pose questions, we will now move on to the next portion of this public hearing. The portion for public remarks and comments is now open. Seeing there are no public to present remarks and comments, we'll move to the next portion of this public hearing for review of the public comment process. The review of the public comment process is the same as was provided during the presentation. There was a handout provided at tonight's hearing of the public notice, which specifically gives the addresses and email addresses for written comments to be submitted after this public hearing before September 30th to be received and made part of the record. The public hearing process will be concluded and closed after September 30th. The City of Patterson will have the ability to take formal action on this transfer proposal beginning on October 1st. At this time, as there are no further questions, no further public remarks and comments, this public hearing is now closed. The time is now 7:55 p.m. Thank you very much for your attendance.